All right, it's a great morning, Wednesday morning. Thanks for joining us on TVC Breakfast. I am Mike Okwache, and certainly I'm not here alone. I have my colleague, Kemi Foladeyemo, with me here. Kemi, good morning.
Good morning, Mike.
Good to see you.
Good to see you.
Oh,
right.
great.
Big edition things, right?
No, exactly.
Absolutely.
Now, a lot of people are talking about recent development from the UK. The government is trying to put a new law to restrict Nigerians, not just Nigerians, but Africans and others, people around the world coming into the UK to study and then coming with their families. And then after a little while, their visas, their study visa is translated into work visas and all of that. They're trying to see how they can come up with measures to curb that. But a lot of people are not finding that funny at all.
Especially here in Nigeria.
Exactly. A lot of people go to the UK.
Absolutely. And like you said, Nigeria is not the only country that will be affected, but you might as well say that Nigeria will be among those countries that will be the hardest hit as a result of...
Because of the number of people.
The number of people, of course, because of the attraction the UK represents with its systems, its standards of living, education, how education runs there and everything. But it's also a pointer to the fact that country after country, more countries are now looking for their own interests.
Looking inward.
Looking inwards. When Trump started it, when he was president, it seemed like a selfish concept, even though he got sympathy from a large chunk of his compatriots. But now we are seeing the UK now saying they want to clamp down on immigration, and but this policy is set to take effect as from 2024. So, but it said there might be some concessions in some very exceptional circumstances, including if the particular student is very bright and brings so much value to the system. But as it is now, it's now time for our own country, especially here in Africa, for us to also better our systems, because let's face it, the country is losing out, and that's why we are seeing more advocacy that people should stay back. But then it's a matter of choice. If the system here is not friendly, naturally it's okay for people to now look outside to see where they could best fit in and where they could have their dreams and aspirations met. So, but it's a really sober news, and of course mixed feelings in Nigeria. One can understand the disappointment. Right.
Oh, well, the point there is at times like this, it's only good to reflect, like you said, as to what is that push factor from here, making people leave, and what is the pull factor from there, attracting people there. So it has to do with, okay, can we rework some of the things? What are these things? Nigerians are not asking for too much. What are the things Nigerians are looking for? The point there is, you talk about electricity. If there's electricity, if there is security, and there is basic amenities and all of that. That's basically what the thing is about. Because if you're comparing both sides, those are the guarantee they have in their climes, and we don't have here. Just take electricity, for instance. You know that except very few places, you know that in 24 hours, there's going to be a time where there will be electricity supply. You just know there won't be. There will be a time there won't be electricity supply. You just know that. It's a given, right? Fine, but those are places where there are guarantees. In fact, if the electricity goes out at any point, then it looks like, oh, something is unusual here. So these are some of the guarantees. Can we achieve it? Of course, why not? We can.
Right.
But the point there is, what is the strategies that are on ground to achieve those things and sustain them for a period of time and for years and so on? So that is why Nigerians are looking forward to the next government, especially with some promises that have been made.
Right.
Especially when you talk about credit system for students.
We've
never had that in Nigeria. And these are the things people in the Western world enjoy. Young people, you can get loans from anywhere to go and study. Nigerians like to study. They like to study. So the point there is create an enabling environment for them. The number two is the issue of security. We'll be talking about the Plateau State issues
killings, right,
later on the show. Now, these are, if you go to Benue, go to Plateau, go to Kaduna, all of these places have security challenges. And not just that. In fact, across the country where you hear of armed robbery and kidnappings here and there. So these are some of the things.
It's been called the world's toughest job, talking about the office of the president. And in Nigeria, it probably would sit home well when you look at the enormous challenges facing the incoming Tinubu administration. So yes, work is cut out, the entire work is cut out. And with this news from the UK now, one can understand, or one would expect some more, urgency, in the whole thing. People who are there are not exactly there because, they want to come. A chunk of Nigerians over there, are still yearning for the things that can only be Nigeria. Of course, there are appeals out there, but, Nigeria also has its own appeals. When you weigh the things I would miss the most about Nigeria, if I were to, jackpot like other people have, Nigeria has its own appeal. So the work of the incoming government is cut out. And of course, there's also more advocacy that states should also learn to fend for themselves, and not what we see now. There's so many issues. The economy, like you said, the issue of fuel subsidy. There is, of course, power. There's education. The needs are yawning. There's a gap between where we want to be and where we are as a country. So one expects that, work will kick off almost immediately. All these major areas, it may not be across board, but at least the major needs. And the Renewed Hope campaign of Asiwaju Tinubu was quite wholesome. It was wholesome, cutting across various sectors. And so it's like it's in paper now. We want to see how the government will go about actualizing all their promises for the good of everyone.
Exactly. We look forward to a new dawn in Nigeria as things change gear for the next government. Nigerians are hopeful. A lot of other people are saying, well, we've always had hope. Let's just see what the government comes up with. Well, we'll wait.
Indeed.
Okay.